Gary the Gremlin here, but I can't deal with that now because I'm a very busy college student and don't really have time to be making videos. In fact, at the time of recording, it's finals week. So anyways, today we're looking at Transformers Legacy Titan-class METROPLEX because I guess I got nothing better going on. Hope you guys are having a Gary merry holiday because I sure am. Here's a big old mining machine, I guess. This might be the most inspired choice for an alt mode because it doesn't really look like a real mining machine, but the real mining machine doesn't look like a real thing either. It's just slightly better than a base mode at least. It's got that up over the original G1 METROPLEX design. This thing looks like a stupid vehicle, but at least it's a vehicle and not a robot who's fallen and can't get up. Doing a massive amount of the heavy lifting, no pun intended, is the giant digging arm equipped with scoop and big old pinwheel. If you remove them, this form literally looks like nothing. But these guns and these treads on each barely disguised limb help with making it look a lot more like it could actually do something. The arm can rotate, but not that far, so maybe it wouldn't be a good mining machine at all. It's got some little tiny wheels so that it can roll, although not that well. These treads that flip out are pretty cool, however. There's a little cockpit looking thing up there. Is that supposed to be a place for a mini-con?
What's up, guys?
There's none included, which, to be frank, if you'll allow me, feels pretty cheap and scummy. I know limitations are a thing. I don't blame the designers. I blame those money-hungry John Hasbros. Trypticon and the Ark both came with full-size deluxes, and Omega Supreme even had a little Micromaster. All three of those were like $150 when they came out, and this guy is $200. I didn't pay that much for him. I'm not a rube. I got him on sale for $100, but $200 with no mini-con is crazy. He is proper massive, though. Look at him next to some of his buddies, Legacy, Override, and Hotshot. Transforming him is really just standing him up and pulling all the bits off right until he's this ginormous robot mode. And like, okay, son, I think I genuinely prefer this design of METROPLEX more than the G1 design. Last time, I'll mention the G1 guide today. Okay, promise. The only thing design-wise kinda weird is the all-too-common thighs are half the length of the shin problem. It's just not my preference. It can look cool on very exaggerated anime designs, but here it just makes posing look awkward. Speaking of posing, METROPLEX might just win some sort of award for most posable Titan class. It's a low bar, but he jumped right on over it and hit his head on the ceiling. Did I mention he's tall? He's got an ab crunch on a Titan class. Sit and think about that for a while, it's crazy. He's also got some very good neck articulation, even if it's a little loose. Hands can open and close as well as the thumb. And his ankles are the icing on the cake with a full 360-degree ratcheted swivel and the ability to rock back and forth and tilt slightly. This guy is almost too posable. He's got articulation that you're not going to feasibly be able to use because he's too darn big. Standing with his back straight, he's just around 2 feet tall. For those who are British, that's about, I don't know, 1/3 of Doctor Who. That head sculpt! Like a robotic Dilophosaurus with those two sharp-looking head crests, and equally all ultra-magnusy with his strong expression and ear spikes. And an opening mouth gimmick. It's so appreciated because it's so cool. It looks really weird if you do it too far. Don't do that. Still, this is a really neat addition, and I'm sure those stop animation fanatics love this, you freaks. I see you. I once was you. And the colors here are so nice and crisp. With how much yellowing has been a problem lately and with the original figure, it's worth bringing up. As far as I've heard, and I've had my ear to the wall if you know what I mean, I haven't seen any copies of this guy that have yellowed. And that's a great relief. It's good to feel secure when you're buying a $200 robot. Pretty much all the red, blue, silver, and gold on his main body is painted, and there's a good amount around the back too. And the detailing here is also as well-rounded. There's not a space where you can't find some sort of jet booster or vent or robotic sinew or something. And the mining vehicle arms come back to attach and form a devastating staff that's genuinely big enough to be wielded by a person as a weapon. It is the height of the figure himself. But not all is perfect in Metroland. There's a couple things I gotta address. First, the big old staff is pretty hard for him to hold. It's pretty heavy, and he's got a very weak handhold, so getting him to hold the darn thing can be a chore. On top of that, some of the joints are very tight, scary tight, and some are loose, like super, super loose. The big old staff can plug onto his back, which is awesome, and it's got this dedicated rotating holster for it. Unfortunately, that ratcheted swivel joint is just not strong enough to keep it up, and it'll hang down wherever the wind blows it. Same with that neck joint I already mentioned, and that ab crunch. Way too loose. It makes posing him awkward. You'll try to grab the shoulder to rotate it, and then the entire chest will bend in half with it. But those are relatively small nitpicks when faced with just how cool this guy is. One last surprise, there's a third mode of sorts. It's one of those rare punch-counter-punch situations where we've got a triple changer with one alt mode and 2 robot modes. This is called his mining mode, I think. I couldn't be bothered to check TF Wiki or watch the Transformers The Basics episode. And it's a pretty sweet in-between golem of a robot. It's crazy how he goes from so much of a personality to what looks like a brainless little drone. Pretty much all the details get swapped around, and it's really a treat because it helps you appreciate this figure more, especially the parts you usually wouldn't see. I love the arms exclusively used for mining. That's horribly bleak for him, I'm sure. Real I have no mouth and I must scream type situation. But to me, it looks pretty cool. I neglected to mention it earlier, but there's some posability in the claw arm. There's 2 big ratcheted joints and the whole open closey parts. And he's obviously a lot smaller now. I mean, most of the transformation is him just popping a squat. He can actually fit into my review space now, which is pretty good. And now that we're near the end of the video, here's where I drop the bombshell. Get ready. I've never watched Transformers Cybertron. That's how you know this is the most unbiased, honest review of this figure. I've never, not once, been tainted by actually processing the show in my brain hole. I'd probably struggle recognizing which designs are Cybertron and which are Energon. I really am not bothered that much. So, when I tell you I'm a big fan of this guy, you know it's the stalwart, ironclad Gary you know and fear, and not some wishy-washy millennial who believes in nostalgia. Pick this guy up, treat yourself, he's still generally on sale most places. Gary the Gremlin, out.